Alright, how's it going, guys? Josh from the Multiplayers and
Genesis.
you guys, Genesis was on vacation, and I picked up something pretty awesome. So here we have in this bag, it says Hyperkin. I wonder what's in it. I guess it is the Retron 5. And actually, I waited for him to get back. He was gone to where?
I was at Universal in Orlando, Florida.
And I waited for him to get back. We had a busy weekend. I haven't even cracked it open yet. So we are going to do an unboxing of the Hyperkin Retron 5. So the Hyperkin Retron 5 does lots of systems. Do you want to talk about the systems?
Yeah, the Hyperkin Retron 5 does Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive. If you have the power-based converter adapter, play Sega Master System games, as well as Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and it even has a slot for regular Famicom games as well.
Exactly, and it has all the ports. It has 2 NES ports, 2 SNES ports, and 2 Genesis ports, so you can plug in the original controllers. I hear the actual controller with this is a lot better than the previous Retrons, the Retron 3 and 2.
Oh, the Retron 3 was horrible.
Pretty bad. It's one of those that has to have a direct line of sight, and this is actually a Bluetooth controller.
Yes.
So, pretty cool. It has graphical user interface, audio video enhancement. This has HDMI output, which is pretty cool for anybody playing old games. You get a lot better quality.
In the box, it's a really nice design. I like the little beveled edge here with the nice Hyperkin logo done in silver, and everything else has this nice matte black finish, while the system itself looks really glossy. I think that's a really great touch that they did with the box itself. So I think it's time that we open this bad boy up and see what's actually inside.
Alright, awesome. Alright guys, here we are back with the Retron 5 unboxing. We're going to crack this baby open and see what's inside. I guess we'll have to pull this out then.
Yep.
Alright, so there's the box. Everything is wrapped up here.
We got a lot of bubble wrap here.
Yeah, a lot of bubble wrap. Oh, already, like, evidently the controller is charged or something. So.
Yeah, they usually carry a little bit of a charge on them.
So here we have the controller, the Hyperkin controller. It's a little weird shaped, but from what I hear, it's a lot better than the other Retron controllers. So.
And that's actually the only controller you can use to get to the home buttons. Like if you're using the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo controllers, you can't get to the home screen.
Yeah,
so you have to use this.
And it charges off of your typical like cell phone charger. Looks like. So anyways, there's the controller.
Actually, not too bad feeling. I'm not keen on the thumbstick.
You have your power cable. Alright, so this must be, I don't know what this is. It's adapters for other countries, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
this is for other countries. If you live in another country and you're not in the United States, this is an adapter for your power adapter.
So that you can use it in those other outlets. So we won't have any need for that.
Yeah. But that was a good thing that Hyperkin thought of, because a lot of gamers aren't in the United States.
Yeah, I'm assuming this here is the charger for the controller.
Yeah, this actually plugs into the back of the system.
It plugs into the back of the system, but it looks like you could use a cell phone charger for it if you have that handy. Seems like that would be a lot easier. Ooh, I did not know it came with one of these. I didn't know it came with an HDMI cable. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So you don't need an extra HDMI cable. It comes with one.
Because HDMI cables are mighty expensive. Yeah, the system
is super light. It is super, super light. So here we have the Retron 5 system. Let's move some of these. Controller little slot here, right? How does that
yeah, it's a little slot for the controller, but what stinks is it's actually not a charger port for the controller.
Yeah.
Which would have been nice, but...
How does it sit then? Like that?
Yeah, it sits like that in there.
Upside down?
Yep. Of course, you got a Hyperkin Retron 5 sticker. It's right here in this little bag here. And of course, your instructions, but who needs those? I really like the design of the system. I think that the colors work really well, where you've got that real glossy black right here, and then your flaps here, which are really tight. Yeah. Seem to be more of a matte black finish with the purple lettering on it. I think that's really nice looking. So
Yeah, so you got your
Pretty
Famicom, NES, SNES, Genesis. Then you could put your Master
Power-based
Power-based converter to play the Master System on there.
And then right here in the front is your Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color slot.
Yep, right there.
Now, what I think Hyperkin should have added to this, and nobody has made something to do this yet on a television, is a Sega Game Gear slot. That's kind of a problem with reviewing Sega Game Gear games, is you have no way to play them on a TV and capture the footage without using emulation. So for me, that's something I would have really liked to have added on the system. Okay, so now we're going to show you guys how these cartridge slots work on the Retron 5. First you have the Game Boy here. Josh is going to put that in there for us.
Now let's move this as I lift it up.
Game Boy goes right there in the front of the system. And that works with Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. Now, how tight is this? Not very tight at all for the Game Boy games. That's really good.
And it's not really far that it clips in. It's pretty close. I mean, because you got to think Game Boy Advance goes in there too, and shorter cartridges.
Yeah. So now, let's see here. We have Famicom slot here, which we don't have any Famicom games. So
For me.
let's jump up to the NES.
Mega Man 5. All right, so let's see how easily I can push this in here. I think it's a little difficult. Let's see. I don't think it's in, is it? Maybe it is.
That's what she said.
So as you can see, they're not like super tight, but it's a little hard to get some of the games out. As you can tell, I had to heave pretty hard on it. So sometimes you think you're going to break something, but it is pretty sturdy.
It doesn't look like you bent any of the pins. That's
you
good.
want to try it? Maybe
yeah.
See how it feels there.
Fit in fine?
It seems like it's not in there, but it is in there.
It grabs really tight.
Really
you kind of
tight.
have to. You kind of have to grab it almost from the side of the cartridge and work it out.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but not too fond of that. But we'll get used to that.
All right, here's my copy of Earthbound. We grabbed some of the coolest games I have. You want to try out the Super Nintendo
See how
cartridge
Super Nintendo
slot?
feels. Went in there fine, real easy.
Oh, that came
out
out easier,
fine.
didn't it? The NES seems a little tighter.
Yeah, it seems like from what I've heard, the NES and the Famicom are probably the tightest.
Yeah, that's pretty good there.
It's tight, but it's not overbearing.
Yeah. All right, so on to the Sega.
Toe Jam and Earl for Sega Genesis.
Now, that is my wife's favorite game. So jamming. We be jamming.
So she will be happy that we featured this in the episode.
I heard this one was tight. But
Yeah, it went in a little easy, but let's see how tight it is to get out. Oh God!
Yeah, Sega is tight as
that
mess.
was tighter than a virgin on prom night.
Oh, I'm like, oh wow, yeah.
It's really tight.
Really tight.
Like you're scared you're gonna break the system because you have to push down on the system to pull the cartridge out.
So, and another thing is I don't think you can have two games in here at the same time. Whereas like the Retron 3, it had you could basically switch between, you could have like 3 slots filled up and it had a little switch you could turn.
Right.
Whereas this only has, it doesn't have anything you can turn, it just recognizes what slot is occupied. So, not a huge deal, but some people like to have all their slots occupied.
Alright, so that was our unboxing of the Retron 5. I would have to say for myself, my first thoughts of it are it's a very sleek and attractive system. Fiddle with the controller a little bit. Not crazy about it, but it does seem a lot better than the ones that were included with the Retron 3. I love the design of the system, I really do. My only gripe about it would be how tight some of the cartridge slots are. Otherwise, it's pretty cool. I don't really think the tightness is going to be too much of an issue. So, that's my final thoughts my first thoughts on the Retron 5.
Yeah, my first thoughts out of the box, I mean, it just looks really pretty. It's a sleek system. The Retron 3, which I sold to a buddy since I got this, is like really plain plastic. This is very shiny, cool looking. Controller is a little wonky feeling. It's like a cube, like a brick. But at least it's not the line of sight controller, so that's a plus. Another downside is you can't have 4 games in here, or 5. You couldn't have like the Game Boy and all 4 slots occupied and just switch between games. You have to actually pull them out, which means the problem of the tightness is might bug you a little bit having to switch slots a lot, but it definitely feels strong. Doesn't feel like it's gonna break, but you do have to heave some of the slots. The best one was Super Nintendo, I think. Super Nintendo went in and out very smooth.
Very nice.
Whereas NES and Sega were a little tight. Game Boy slot, super smooth. I mean, yeah, not very deep. Holds onto the game very well. And pulls out really easy. Nice looking box too. Those
and
are
you got this sweet bag.
Yeah, Retron 5. Hyperkin gave you a sweet bag with it.
So that was it for our unboxing video. I just want to do a quick shout out to my buddy Joe Walker. He just celebrated 2 years of doing his video series, The Backlog, where he reviews inexpensive games on YouTube, even though he just did Earthbound, which is probably the most expensive game on the Super Nintendo, but he didn't really do a review of it. He just talked about his feelings and, you know, how he came into that game and whatnot. It's a really, really awesome video. I'm going to put a link below in the video description to check that out. And subscribe to his channel. He's just at over 2,000 subscribers, which is pretty awesome. So,
alright, so next week, guys, we're picking up the Destiny PS4 console edition, so look for an unboxing of that next week also on our channel.
Yep. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment, and we'll see you next time.